Not like aggressive.
I'm Amber McGhee of Amber McGhee Design, and we specialize in collectible furnishings. When you're dealing with collectible design, you tend to focus on different principles than if you're simply trying to create a pretty room or a pretty space. And collectible design is so different. Each of the pieces are different. They're coming from different eras, different movements, different design philosophies, different countries. So you have a lot of variety built into that. And the trick now is, what do you do to unify it? So I often use repetition. I try to use repetition that is not so obvious. I try to kind of dig deep, and if maybe we have a piece, a collectible piece for one particular designer. So I'll really get into that designer's world and find out who were their friends, what interesting, friend group collaborations did they do, who did they study under, who were their kind of mentors, and where did they take inspiration? What were their philosophies? Noguchi is a great example. His best friend was Buckminster Fuller. So you can really start to tell their stories and tie these pieces together. And then from there, you start building a story of their life. Maybe you collect a painting from one artist and a side table designed by one of their friends. And then the pieces start talking to each other. And now you have created repetition of relationships. Practically, you're going to use a lot of repetition of color or materials, things like that. So you can create a cohesive space when you're dealing with collectible design. Variety is a given. You have a lot of variety to work with. So creating unity is kind of the key factor. How do I unify that variety? So let's talk about imperfection. This is one of my favorite topics, and I really feel like it's an undervalued element of great design. Things can be too same and predictable. So we need, like we were talking with a friend a few nights ago about familiarity breeding contempt. So if you're surrounding yourself with beauty and every single thing is beauty, you have nothing to contrast. So you kind of need those surprises that are going to, make you take notice of all that beauty again. And one way I like to do that is through the element of surprise, just throwing in something that's unexpected, because we have so few surprises in life now, and it just feels good to kind of create a little mystery. And also, everything is like polished and clean. So to add in and introduce a little grit and a little edge, I just feel like we all kind of gravitate toward that. That's what we're hungry for. And so my magic spot, the thing I always try to achieve in a design, is a really pretty space, really, really pretty. And I love it when you can't figure something out right away. That's what I love. I love when you can't figure something out right away, but when you do, it makes so much sense. So there's this saying that I love, and it goes something like, top down is orderly but dumb. Bottom up is chaotic but smart. So sometimes in a traditional design process, you're going to get the floor plans and you're going to pre-decide where everything is going to go, and you're going to lay it out, and you're going to put in your furniture blocks, and you're going to have your mood boards and your fabrics and your materials and all of that. And that can be perfectly fine. Your end result is going to be amazing. But with collectible design, sometimes it's just a little bit different. It's not that straight line. So sometimes you're going about your business and then you see a piece and you want to buy it out of a complete emotional response. You might not have a space for that piece. You might choose to redesign an entire room because you fell in love with something. And I just think that's life. That's living. We do it because it's love. So it's okay that there's that element of chaos. It's okay that, as a collectible person and dealing with design and collecting furniture, you're going to have multiple storage units, and we're just going to inventory them and sort of manage that and rotate things in. But sometimes it's smart at the very end of it. And sometimes the end is a question mark. It kind of goes on and on forever. But at the very end, you're going to have a masterpiece, something that was worth going through the chaos. So When I approach process and I come into the equation, I'm really trying to see where you're at in terms of your collection and help create order every step of the way. Understanding that we're all going to endure a little bit of chaos, but how can I make your life as orderly as possible so when we get to the end, it was as painless as possible. Where can you find me on social media? Well, you probably can't. Truth be told, I am on Instagram, but only because an artist friend of mine a few years ago said, you should join because you can take inspiration and you should follow, these designers and artists. And so I did. But even when Facebook first came out, I think my mother even tried to get me to sign up for it. And I just never felt right about it. I tend to value my privacy. I value the privacy of others. And I think it's really important when working with clients that are collectors. There's often discretion involved, a very high level. And so respecting those intimate spaces of their lives is just paramount, I think. So now I don't do social media and I don't feel bad about it. What matters to me most is that as human beings, we're ancestors, and that means we're heirloom keepers. And there are, we can line ourselves up with certain design philosophies or materials or moments in time or periods of history and say, this means something to me. And I want future generations to know what this means. And so I'm going to collect this piece and I'm going to care for it and I'm going to shepherd it through time to pass it on so that future generations will know these philosophies and these materials and these techniques and this technology. And I think our spaces give us feedback all the time. We're not always aware of it, why we feel certain ways in certain places, but in our homes especially, how important is it that we're getting the feedback that we're valuable, we're special, we're responsible for something. It's not just, getting more stuff, more and more and more stuff, but we're editing and we're curating and we're saving our money and we're putting it where it matters. So legacy to me is everything in design. So I am Amber McGhee of Amber McGhee Design, and I really look forward to getting to know you and working together and building a great collection.